everyone, you know, how can people receive services from you? Mary, how can people access the Unmet Needs Fund? What is that process exactly?
Certainly. So through the unmet needs process, it really has to be accessed through one of the disaster case management organizations. And so we have trained all the disaster case management agencies that have inquired about the training now on how to access the Unmet Needs Fund. The Unmet Needs Fund managers, Baker Ripley, they're our partner in this work. And so we've trained them on how to complete the application, what they need to do in terms of eligibility and documentation, and receipts and invoices and that sort of thing. The Unmet Needs Fund, it could be anything from appliances, furniture, relocation costs, employment-related expenses, housing. It could be for anything that'll help them achieve their recovery or along their path to recovery. So it really is a resource that can be tapped by the disaster case managers, that gives the case managers that tool to be able to help the client that they're serving.
I'll piggyback in saying that a lot of our recovery plans mirror that as well. We really look at looking at families holistically, and we have kind of two approaches, I guess. One is an in-reach. With NAM, with so many different organizations, with an organization that's made up of so many different components, I should say, we do a lot of in-reach, which means we have a Meals on Wheels program that works with the senior community. We have a children's clinic, one of the very few safety net clinics that exist outside the loop. And then we also have a family violence center. And so we're finding that through those services, referrals are happening. You know, the case managers go to deliver food. They may deliver the food and take the food to the living room, but as they walked in further, there's absolutely nothing in the kitchen because it was completely washed out. And so that gives them an opportunity to contact us, and many of those seniors didn't have access to a computer or had computer literacy issues, so they didn't file for FEMA, they didn't have flood insurance, and so it's been a great opportunity for us to go out and do site visits and be able to do intakes out in the community with folks that are referred to us through our programs there at NAM. For outreach, we work in a variety of ways. One is through partnerships that we have, for example, with Spring ISD. Right after the storm, they conducted a survey and found that 147 teachers and 914 parents were affected by the storms. So they applied for funding from the Greater Houston Community Foundation and received an award. And in partnership with NAM, they provided us with those dollars to be able to offer the disaster case management and recovery plans for their teachers and their parents. And so we've been going to the schools and doing informational workshops and getting folks to into our services, and they can do it in a variety of ways. They can do it either by phone, they can fill out the application, they can submit it by fax, by email, or drop it off in person. We can go to them and do intakes. Another part of our outreach strategy has been once a month, we just based on the disaster case managers, listening to them and who's coming through the doors, if there's particular neighborhoods in the northwest side of town or north side of town where people are coming forth and we're seeing the damages that were impacted, and they tell us, you know, we have a lot of neighbors and so many of them got FEMA denied and they don't have insurance. So we'll go door to door, and so every month we designate outreach events and spend a day dedicated to going out with the entire team, going door to door. And from those outreach excursions, we have at least anywhere from 15 to 20 families per outreach event, where folks will then respond and come to our agency or contact us to be able to get enrolled in services.
So the Society of St. Vincent de Paul has volunteers in 60 different Catholic churches in the area. Our volunteers meet with families and assess their needs. Another way that when someone calls 211, we're part of the 211 network, they ask for furniture assistance, they're referred to us. Again, St. Vincent de Paul volunteers will go out and visit with them. We've recently started accepting referrals from case managers. If a case manager identifies a family that can benefit from our program, they can submit a furniture request and we'll match them with St. Vincent de Paul volunteers.
And so one of the key things that I think Jennifer just talked about and something that we've been excited to see is about this partnership between Spring ISD and NAM and how they're working together, and just the fact that Spring has a threshold of how much they're able, but NAM said we'll also go beyond that if the family needs more than that threshold that Spring ISD has earmarked. And so almost the theme for this panel in some way is leverage. You know, this is about how to leverage those dollars across the board. Cameron, I'm going to give you some time to almost do a little commercial. And in some ways, we have some hot topics here as it relates to American Red Cross. So thinking about CAN, and even if you can just talk a little bit about that, there's some key things that people should know that I want to give you an opportunity to share.
Happy to. One is I want to thank you and everyone that's participated today. When we look at CAN and we look at the American Red Cross, a lot of this is about partnership and collaboration. And it's been a true partnership that we've been able to develop with the Greater Houston Community Foundation and others, in that we were there to offer this assistance, to work with the agencies, but it was this free flow of data and information of the agencies that were being funded by the foundation to really get them trained and push through CAN. And I really have to tip my hat to Omar and the rest of our specialists as and he's popped back in. So as they've gone through and trained individuals in CAN. And through that, we've listened to a lot of the improvements from the field of what we can do. So not only did we partner with Catholic Charities and Baker Ripley to test our system and to pilot it, we listened to where their stress points were. And listening to the community, we've done over $100,000 worth of improvements to CAN. And we've carried on conversations both locally and now nationally within VOAD to have our API code, it looks like will be underwritten to speak with DART with the NVOAD grant. So when we look at the collaboration and the collectiveness that the American Red Cross is able to drive and focus on this, we're able now to push out $110 million throughout this entire region just to client assistance. But that is merited because it's your clients. It's your individuals that your disaster case managers are working through. So by having people trained, by offering not only just the on-site trainings that we can do at the Red Cross, coming to your locations or virtually, our specialists are now also coming out and doing what we're calling embedding. So we will spend an entire day or half day with your agencies, matched with the FEMA FIDA list that we've been able to pull from your data entries into CAN, and really push and drive the measure of success of putting recovery dollars in persons' hands. And I think that speaks very powerfully in collaboration, in cooperation, and when you look at what's being done here in Houston, it's setting a model that the rest of the nation should be striving towards. And I think that's very powerful when you look at everything from the long-term recovery to the VOAD to our Office of Emergency Management and the way we have looked at this holistically. So CAN is that tool that one is and shall forever remain free for y'all to use. The resource tab is there so that when people need to find furniture, you can find that. But the other piece is our funding that we do, it doesn't have any redundancy. So you're not looking at funding that should cover a refrigerator that FEMA said should cover the refrigerator. So it impacts these people to make the most paramount decisions for them. If it's their car broke down and that keeps them from recovering because they can't get to a job, our funds can be used for that. One we found in Cashmere Gardens where an elderly lady had a tax lien of $1,000. By receiving our money, she was able to use that to pay off her tax to get access to her FEMA dollars. So it's listening to the field, it's pushing this information up to us so that we can act quickly, but it's also finding the barriers. We have found that language is a large barrier. So when you're looking at the agreement, when you're looking at the pieces that are needed, we can turn around in 2 to 3 days any language under the sun that you need done to make sure that your clients are taken care of. So again, we're looking at this holistically. And I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to turn it back over.
I'm going to hit on 2 points.
Please.
So when we think about being able to understand who's being served with what resources, all of those systems will be talking now. So that's important. Secondly, the thing that we talked about, undocumented. So how does undocumented?
Sorry, my
how are they
caffeine
served?
intake is
Okay.
slowed. So
That's why I'm here.
the other big piece is for undocumented populations. We have no government agencies within CAN. It's a true nonprofit collaborative that serves. We can export for our government partners information that redacts the client information so they understand and they can look and make holistic and very informed decisions. But this is something that you can have your clients in this system without having any hesitation. And I think that is one of the most powerful things. As the American Red Cross, we are a humanitarian organization. We do not look upon any borders on this, as it is the individual that needs the assistance. So this is set up to look at that, to address the dignity of the human person. And this does that by allowing CAN to have this free flow and access of data that y'all have access to and can share, very easily. So I think that is one point that you have to hear time and time again, is that there are no government agencies within CAN. ICE is not going to come after our clients in there. This is a safe space for them to be in. The language is all there, and we can put it in their native language. A lot of persons, when we look at it, I think Houston has 118 different spoken dialects. We can do all 118. You just tell us what's needed, and we can drive that for you. So we don't want to have any barriers based upon language, based upon perception, or based upon fear. This is, again, driven by an organization that our main goal and mission is to be humanitarian.
So Mary, I know you have a follow-up, and maybe as you follow up, can you talk a little bit about the importance of leveraging funds and some strategies that you may have for organizations?
Great. So one of the things that I wanted to follow up with Cameron is, one of the stress points for many of our service providers is that they're using their own agency database, be it Apricot, ETO, what have you, and utilizing CAN is another system, and so it requires data entry into another system, which can be time intensive. One of the things we're working through, and we met yesterday, is to identify the key fields that we really would like everyone to fill in on clients that we serve, to try to really leverage resources and communicate better. And we're really going to stick to 10 or 15 fields, very few field points to really help drive individuals to utilize CAN and to know that they can go there for those key areas, so that you're not thinking, oh, this is a big system, I have to key in everything. You don't. And so we're going to start communicating what those fields are. We're having another session to finalize that, but know that it is a great system, and we're going to really try to focus it a little bit more to help that with that. The benefits, I think, of the leveraging the resources, not any of us have enough resources to help these families. None of us. The needs are so great that we need to leverage resources, and we need to collaborate in order to improve access to services and resources for those that we serve. We want to stretch the dollars further so that we can serve more individuals, honestly, and we want to complement what each of us brings to the table. So if you're providing appliances, I can provide furniture, someone else can provide another need that they have, and together, if we couple all the resources together, we can help that individual and that family recover faster. So I cannot stress enough how important leveraging the resources are, how important having collaborations and partnerships is, and so really look to any of us, I think, to work with how you can partner with us and utilize that our funding as a leverage point. So that would be great.
And I think Mary said it in a nice way, but the reality, even for us at the Relief Fund, that we recognize is that there is a finite amount of resources. As we near the end of the amount that we have raised and will distribute, and other organizations, and even those of you who have dollars, our dollars within your organizations will run out. And so, Jennifer, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about just thinking about how you approach partnerships to make sure that you're leveraging, and what advice you would give about even just helping constituents in that case.
My big philosophy is utilizing this power of partnerships, that we serve as a bridge to helpers, to bridge clients to other helpers in the community, and that we identify our strengths and collectively try to use them. So in doing that right away, I'm sure for those of you that have been in the field since it started, right? For those of you that came aboard here recently after Harvey, you didn't know you were going to be an apartment locator or a real estate expert. There's just so many things, so many different hats that you wear, and so rather than learn all that expertise ourselves, we reached out to our partners. And so through our clinical director at the children's clinic at NAM, I found out that she was her family friends with a couple that had some property. So I asked her if she would help arrange a meeting, and it turns out that they own Cara Properties, which is 42,000 apartment units here in Houston. One couple, by the way. Very sweet people. But it was, and really, really genuinely interested in serving. And through that meeting came this wonderful opportunity to be able to have access to 42,000 apartment units, so that in the event that I find a family that's been displaced from their hotel, or they have come to that crossroad where they said, we're done repair, we're not going to be able to repair this house. You know, I know my feet were in the dirt, and I was like, I'm staying in this house, you know, come hell or high water. And they said, no, the hell with it, I'm out of here. And so they decided that they've decided that they're going to go ahead and sell. But what do we do now? So now we have access to these apartments, and through this partnership and through an MOU that was established, they sometimes will waive our deposits. They'll allow us to do short-term leases instead of having to put the family into a hotel. In some cases, they'll overlook if there's broken leases, if there's past convictions, if there's past evictions in their past. They're willing to work with us and work with our clients because we're providing that disaster relief. So that's a big partnership. And so then we came to the crossroad when we identified a lot of homeowners that were in that same place, and we knew that we needed to reach out to partners. So we reached out to Keller Williams, and we have now, through a wonderful partnership, developed an MOU with Keller Williams. They have 12 disaster relief realtors who are our go-to realtors, and whenever we have a family that's in a situation where they just want to talk, they have questions, they want to ask what their options are, we can turn to experts in the field and be able to connect them with those realtors. We'll try to get them the most amount of money for their house, or try to let them know what options that they have, or if they want to go, look for an apartment or lease a home that's outside of the Cara Properties, we have another option. So I just think it's really important to, extend that olive branch to other helpers, to other people in the community that are interested in being a part of this work, and make them your tribe. Bring them in and create community, because it really does make a big difference. And we have also just recently started working over the last 6 months with Solo Clearance. They're the largest manufacturer of scratch and dent appliances for Whirlpool. They have a 1-year warranty, family-owned business, 2 locations. They deliver and set up everything for our clients. Wonderful relationship. And because of our partnerships with SBP and also Habitat for Humanity, when they get towards the tail end of the reconstruct, they can give us a call, and we can go in there and load up the house with appliances or furnish the appliances so that when they move in, it feels like home. So it's just an exciting opportunity, the power of partnerships.
So that's kind of like partnership beyond, right? So now we're bringing in the corporate, or rather the private sector, back into this fold. We know that there was a tremendous response post-Harvey, and there were a lot of dollars being flowed, but now there's some other. And I have to say, when I first talked on the phone and I heard 42,000, we were on the phone, so I thought I heard incorrectly, and I said, wait, 42,000 or 4,200? 42,000 apartments. How incredible is that? We're going to spend like 30 seconds with you, Cameron, just to talk about community grants, because we know that there's been some questions around that.
We've really been assessing the footprint that we're going to have, because we're looking at about 63,000 clients that we're looking at across the region to address. But making sure that we have funding available for those clients is paramount and our first responsibility. The secondary responsibility really comes in the funding of the long-term recovery committees. So an RFP, literally the I's are being dotted, the lowercase j's are being dotted, and the t's are being crossed to send that out to the long-term recovery committees, so that especially in some of these rural areas, that they'll have the support that they need. And then the third phase of that is the community grants. So we know that there's going to be some focus on like the undocumented and some of the other of the social vulnerability pieces, but we ask respectfully that we make sure that we can serve the clients first, as we want to make sure that we hit these other areas. But it's a client first approach that we're taking. Then it's looking to the long term on the long-term recovery, and then the third phase will be pushed, and we'll push it out through the long-term recoveries. We'll push it out to our community partners. These will be done with an RFP, so it will be in all full transparency, a process that many of us know too well, but it's coming in the coming days. So thank you.